Spox are a leading UK and now global company providing custom brand kits, whether that is clothing or socks. They are with you every single step of the way by bringing your idea to light. They exclusively work with fitness communities, business communities in the UK and worldwide. To check out everything that they do, head over to www.spox.uk.
If I hadn't had my nervous breakdown, my absolute self-destruction, I wouldn't have gone on this journey of learning meditation, mindfulness, and understanding emotion and understanding self. So if that negative hadn't happened, I wouldn't have had these 1001 positives.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Boardroom. I am your podcast host, Luke Beastall, and I have a great guest today. Honestly, I'm so excited to welcome him on the show. His name is Cuddy. He is UK's leading mind management coach, which we are going to delve deep into that, but also he's a fellow podcast host. I actually was a guest on his show, which was a privilege, back in April. 3 months on, here we are sat. He's on the other side. Now, before I actually do a little bit more introduction, Cuddy, how's it feel to be on the other side?
Actually, I don't mind. I love podcasting because, and I'll tell you the way I like doing podcasting is when I'm interviewing the guests, I'm learning. I'm asking them the questions that I know I want, so that I can take something away from the podcast. But then when I'm on the other side, which is as today, I know that I'm going to be able to bring a lot of value and say, look, if you do this, your life will change. If you look at this will change in your life, and you can take away so much value from podcasts. It's amazing.
I'm exactly the same as you. I think it's such a great self-development tool. And especially as a host, like you say, if you're sitting back listening, asking the questions, you're taking stuff away that you can integrate in your coaching practice, in your business. So this is going to be really good because obviously your journey's been quite insightful. I know we've got sort of a lot of similarities on where we've been and locations and environments, so we understand sort of what goes on sort of behind the scenes. But I just also wanted to plug in that, you know, you've obviously got a fantastic platform that has grown tremendously, you know, over 30k subscribers on YouTube, which will allow people to sort of check out everything towards the end of the show. But one question I wanted to ask you, because you knew this was coming anyway, where did sort of that achievement or that status come from with becoming the UK's leading mind management coach?
Very simply, it's self-titled. I'm a big believer in identity.
Love it.
So it's self-titled, and I want to tell you why it's self-titled. It's because when I got so many learning modalities as CBT, NLP, brain spotting, life coaching, havening, psychosensory therapies of how I get results for my clients. And I was like, how do you put that into a job title? And I was like, I'm not calling myself a life coach. And I'll say that again. For me, there's an ick to life coaches. So it just didn't align. It didn't align with me.
I agree.
The amount of times I see, come and be a life coach so you can live in Bali or Thailand and work from your laptop. And I'm like, I'm not paying anyone money so they can go and live in Bali. I'm just not doing it. It doesn't align with me. That's not the purpose for me. So I was like, right, what do I call myself? So I was like, well, I've always liked mind management. And I was looking at my bookshelf and I was like, the mind management book, The Chimp Paradox, Mind Management by Stephen Peters. Phenomenal book. Everyone go and read it. And I was like, oh, I could call myself a mind management coach. So I Googled mind management coaches in the UK and there was 3. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to hedge my bets on betting the other 2. So I'm going to call myself UK's leading mind management coach. That is it. That is the only reason. But no, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that helps me head towards that goal of officially being the UK's leading mind management coach.
But this is great though, Cuddy. I respect that you're actually backing yourself as well.
Oh, we have to, absolutely.
Yeah. What, you know, just out of curiosity then, with you obviously giving yourself this title.
Yes.
What has that given you in return with
the identity?
Right.
One of the biggest drivers in life is identity. It gives us a goal to move towards, and it sets an expectation for somebody who's going to work with you. So you've got 3 parts to that, and I want to deliver on that. And that helps me move forward. That helps me take action. That helps me stop from feeling frozen. The identity of putting on my title is like Superman putting on his cape for me.
Yeah.
And that creates so many metaphors within my mind that I can feel aligned to help and get people the tools that they need, that I needed at that point in life when I didn't have. And that's what it does for me. And I love Superman. And we're not going to talk about the Superman movie because I would talk about it for 2 hours because it was fantastic. I will just say the new Superman movie, I know this goes out in November, was amazing. And if you've got a difference of opinion on that, shame on you.
Shame on you. You're just saying it how it is, though. But I do, just so you know, Cuddy. I mean, I'm very much invested in what you said there about the identity piece. And I'm sure the guys listening in as well, because I know that generally people who sort of tune into this platform are probably in a bit of a lost transition. You know, they feel a bit lost. You know, that sort of feeling of I don't know where to start. So for you now being so, I guess, clear on your identity, and obviously you've got that self-title. Was there ever a moment in your career, being a business owner, that you'd lost your identity?
Do you know what? I think it's a constant flow of that identity is an anchor for me to hold on to. That when I feel like I'm drifting away from it, it's my guiding light back.
Right.
Because I think there should be an open honesty that not every day is going to be a winner. Motivation is bullshit. I think we're all fully aware of that. But having a purpose to when we're not motivated, we're not feeling it, to go, no, I actually have to step up and turn up in the world for something. And that's the reason why. It's a promise that I made to myself. Because after the UK's leading my management coach, when it's official, it'll be, well, I want to be the world's leading my management coach so we can help and give the tools for people to manage their minds. So it's an anchor for us to move towards, that when we're in that dark tunnel and the light is out there, it's not a train coming, it's the way out.
Yeah, I really like this. And I think, like you just said, it's sort of the anchor, but I just find, obviously you've given yourself this in now, again, you're already seeing the next part. It's like, right now I'm UK's leading, but then I will step up to being the world's. That's crazy that there was only two others. That was
At that point,
yeah.
yes.
At that point, when was that
At
then?
that point,
Yeah.
which was 5 years ago, because everyone was calling themselves life coaches, and I'm like, I can't, it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't align with me.
No. No.
I'm like, how can you title? I think I called myself a CBT life coach at one point. I'm like, nah, that it's too much of a mouthful.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, mind management. Googled it, looked around, and I was like, right, let's go for it. That's what I do. I help people manage their minds, from mental health to mindset.
Yeah. Yes. So what got you sort of into this field then of expertise? Where did that sort of start for you? What drawn you to it?
I would say that anyone in our profession have gone through something, and experience is better than book talk. So once you've gone through something, felt lost, been in the dark,
Yeah.
gone down the precipice of being stood on that cliff of thinking, I know if I don't sort this out, the only way is down or over the edge. When you just sat there, I was completely engrossed in an internal conversation that was derogative, negative, spiteful, and I couldn't hear anything. I mean, I was literally numb. I couldn't hear my wife when she was talking to me. I couldn't hear my staff and employees when they were talking to me. I was just numb with this internal conversation. I genuinely thought, oh my God, I must be schizophrenic. I must be split personalities because I've got this conversation going. Oh, I must be bipolar. We look at all these labels, which I'm not a fan of, and I'm like, seriously? So I went to see a doctor. And I told him what was going through, and he said, I've got the phone number for the Samaritans. And I'm like, I'm not suicidal. I'm not suicidal. Why do I want to call it Samaritans? Oh, it's just, I'm like, no. And then he was like, well, you're depressed. You've got depression. And I was like, what do you mean I've got depression? That's what weirdos, that's what wackos have. I mean, I'm not always the best with using, that's the image of depression. It's not something I have. That's what mentally ill people have. And I was like, right, what's going on here that I need to look at? And I'm a big believer in finding answers. I think it's quite a manly trait sometimes to find answers and try and fix. And I wanted to do that for myself. My wife did give me a bit of an ultimatum, a kick up the arse, which I think is probably one of the best things she could have ever done. And you go on this journey of, all right, so depression is not a chemical imbalance in the brain. We've been told for many, many years that depression is a chemical imbalance. You need a tablet so I can rebalance the chemicals in your brain. Yeah. And that's a lie. There's no truth in that. It's been proved over and over again that there is no lack of serotonin in anyone's brain. comes down to your belief system. You're not going to see the doctor. It's not the doctor's fault, to be fair. You sat when you're talking to a doctor, they've got 5 minutes to find out what's wrong with it and give you a tablet for it. That's the process you go to. But when you sat there and you go, I need to know what depression is now. And I did find out about NLP. That was the first thing I found about neuro-linguistic programming, the language of the brain and the neurochemicals that we create through that. And I was like, oh my God, so I was a chronic overthinker. I mean, seriously, waking up in the morning to go to bed at night. And then when you lay in bed at night, it's like the floodgates open up. You lay in bed, the head hits the pillow, and the floodgates open up. And everything that had happened to me in the day, the week, the month, the years, that internal chatter would not shut the fuck up. So if you're sat there right now and going, oh my God, that's what I have. You don't have anything. You have unaddressed emotions. Your emotions are your thoughts. So if you are derogatively talking to yourself or really pulling yourself down, it's your emotions. You've got to deal with the emotional state that creates the language.
Mm.
And I had to learn that. And to stop overthinking for me took me a good month, 2 months. Meditation was a massive help for me, to be fair. And I learned a few things that genuinely like, there it is. That's what the reason is why. Now, I've got the skills to be able to do that when I feel like I'm heading towards down. I listen to my thoughts and then I know what emotional state I'm in. So my language, internally, externally, directly comes from the emotions that I have inside, unresolved emotions that I want to work on. And that's a clear indicator for self-awareness for anybody. If you are in that place and a common thing I used to say to myself was, it's not me that's the problem, it's these 100 people around me that are pissing me off. So I was genuinely a believer of, I'll change these 100 people around me so that I'm happy.
Right.
Now that's quite exhausting. Let's be honest, if I'm right now on a mission to change the 100 people around me so I can be happy, that's me blaming. That's blaming others for how I feel. That does make us a victim to our emotions. To be fair, it does. And the second I realize it's not the 100 people around me I have to change, actually, it's me that I have to change, which is singular. You know what? Life became a lot easier.
So this is great then. So it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, what you just shared there about the overthinking, there was a lot sort of coming to my mind, and I know there's a lot what you shared there. Again, Cuddy, will be relatable to the audience that we really are, outdoing ourselves here. That the odds are against us, but we're still trying to fix an uphill battle of like you said, if people around you are sort of annoying you, that you're trying to change them, but actually it kind of starts with you. And
always starts with self.
And I think as well, just where you'd spoken about the thoughts and how, your head hits the pillow and then it just, everything stopped, like say the floodgates open. I can relate to that myself as well. So thank you for sharing that, because it brought back, a memory when I was like 19, when I sort of, I would say like mildly mental health was a little bit on the downward spiral due to sport and identity loss. But, for you then, you spoke about meditation, you spoke about sort of that being sort of a great tool. What did that help you with the most, do you think?
So what it was for meditation was, and for anyone that's like, I've tried meditation, it doesn't work. It's because you're trying to, meditation's not about sitting in a place with nothing going on. That's the lie. The lie, we get there after a bit of practice, but the art of meditation is to be able to sit and not engage with the thoughts. Let the thoughts come in and let them pass. The problem is we engage with every thought. And you said before we started, have you got any quotes that mean?
Yes.
We suffer more in our minds than we do in reality.
That's true.
100%. My mind, still is sometimes, is like a Stephen King novel. I mean, genuinely, that's how scary. And we don't want to talk about those conversations, because that's when we internalize everything. We're looking around going, is it just me that thought that? And we don't want to say, thought about, not being here tomorrow and stuff like that. You're like, oh, actually, I'm so glad you mentioned it, because I was thinking about that last Thursday. Now you've got a conversation because we've opened up about that internalness. We've not kept it in, And I think there should be a great distinction for people understanding the difference between having a chat about something and constantly repeating a pattern. Because if we constantly repeat a pattern of the same story and the same conversation, nothing's going to change. Which brings us to the next part, which is what you're not changing, you're choosing. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, but I don't know how to change. That's not a problem. But once you've been given the tools to change, and look, technically, on YouTube right now, that's what I did. I think, what was mine? Mine was 13 years ago. It's about 15 years ago when I had my nervous breakdown, the conversations and everything like that. YouTube was definitely around back then, but I Googled what is depression, how to overcome it, and an audio book came up. It was an audio book, and I doubt it was Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Richard R. Carlson. And it was a tick booking exercise for me. I'm like, I do that, I do that, I do that. And he was one of the first guests I tried to get on the podcast because I wanted to say thank you to him for his book.
Oh, brilliant.
But he died. And I was like, oh my God, I'm absolutely gutted I can't get him on the podcast. Well, I was good that he died, but then I was also good I couldn't get him on the podcast. But yeah, I was like, look, I want him on the podcast so I can say thank you to the book. Stop thinking, start living, it'll change your life. Again, another great book. And it was all about thoughts, pendulums, we have them. But every book, you've read loads of books, Luke, on personal development. Meditation will be in there some part.
Always, yeah.
It's always meditation. So when I first, and I think everyone should know this, when I first started meditation, I absolutely hated it. It was just torture. To sit and not engage with that conversation is pure torture. So I had to do some things. I used to teach meditation an awful lot, and it was like, well, give yourself a little monkey with some juggling balls, and just count the juggling balls. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. On the breath in and on the breath out. And once you realise I'm not counting 1, 2, 3, because your little monkey mind starts saying, excuse me, Cuddy, can we talk about what happened 4 weeks ago? Because now's a really important time. I would let that go. I'm like, no, not right now. Let me just go back to me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And after bringing yourself back to your breath 3, 4 times, after a week of doing that and coming out of the room that I was meditating, going to my wife, this is shit. This is bullshit. Can't do it. And my wife was like, you're going to need to do something. If it's not, take a tablet, because this me and you's not going to last. You're angry. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the energy and the power that comes out from those negative emotions that we have, resentment, judgment, anger, frustration, it's not an internal thing. I thought my suffering was in silence, and my wife was like, are you shitting me? I've known for the past year how much you've been struggling, but at what point can I help you anymore? So try to help, try to let you know. And that's what it is. You come back to that. You're going to drift off into a conversation. Just come back, and you start off doing 2 minutes meditation a day, and then you go, well, I'll do 5 minutes tomorrow, then 6 minutes, 7 minutes. By 2 weeks of doing that, you're up to 10 minutes meditation, which is technically all you need every day, same time. And after 2 weeks, your internal conversation will go from, what the fuck are you doing meditating, to, can we do that breathing thing again? Because it works for both of us. So you start bringing that conversation into a line going, can we do that 10-minute thing we do? Because I think I need a rest from you and you need a rest from me. So that self-awareness of understanding that, and the observation of the conversation, instead of hiding that conversation, hiding the fact that I do have a negative, destructive conversation going on the side, and I can't tell the world that. What you've actually probably not realised is you've been telling everybody on a daily basis, because we speak through emotion. So our prime example, Luke, have you met anyone who's a moaner and a complainer, and you'll be like, oh God, it's Bob again. I can't listen to, he's talking about the same shit over and over again.
Well,
Have you met that person before?
Yeah, not so many now, but definitely met those people, yeah.
Right. That is somebody speaking emotionally. They're choosing not changing. That's a choice. They're the mourners and the complainers. They are the drains, not the waterfall.
Mm.
You'll find waterfalls, but there'll always be a drain sucking it out. To conserve, especially in entrepreneurship, you are going to have to conserve your energy and go, is that somebody I want to be around, or is that not someone I want to be around? They're either adding or taking. Drains take. They just suck the life out of you. I've been a drain, and I had to be really aware that I was a drain. And that's a really powerful thing for people to go, oh, it is me. It's not the 100 people around me. It's me.
This is good, and thank you for sharing that. And I like the analogies as well because it's quite simple to sort of digest. And I hope the guys sort of again listening in here are taking a lot away from this, even from your experience. Like you say, obviously, you had to create that self awareness again. Your wife was sort of saying, "Hey, listen, if you don't sort your shit out, this ain't gonna last." Again, that resistance was initially there. So you've openly said, "Hey, listen, when I first decided that meditation." Everything in my mind was like, no, no, no. And then it slowly but surely opened up. The layers started to open up. Now, what I wanted to ask you just from what you shared there, because it sort of led me to this question. And like I said, this is what I love about this, because it's just so open, is there's probably people listening in today that probably have those people that you just said, the drainers, the takers and the adders, sort of like, oh, one person shares a negative, then another one, and it just sort of stacks up in a conversation. If someone was sort of wanting to find those people that are more like the waterfalls, obviously you've been in that place as well, and conserve energy, what would sort of be something that they could do, in your opinion, work on themselves or place themselves in those environments where maybe it can just even slowly shift in more of a positive direction from your experience?
That's where you have those difficult conversations, because it could be a family member. So,
Right.
to be fair, let's be honest. That's where you've got to have the conversation with yourself and look for a win-win out of this one. Win-win is always be kind first. Hey, bud, how you doing? Kind of sounds like you're going through something. Do you want to chat? No, not a problem. First of all, you've opened up the be kind. Second conversation you have with them will be, you all right? Kind of sounds like something's going on. You don't want to talk about it, don't share. Perfect, no problem. Comes to the third time, how you getting on? Yeah, nothing. You're going to have to set a boundary. I don't have the time right now. There is certain things that we can do, or there's going to have to be a boundary. That's where you set your own boundaries. That's where identity comes from. And it's having about the courage to be disliked. The courage to be disliked. If you've not read that book, Luke Beastle, you have to read that book. I would guarantee, I would tell anybody listening to it on a audio book, because it's an old ancient wisdom from a Japanese sensei philosopher teaching a 16-year-old boy who is a snotty little shit.
Right.
And the conversation, the back and the forth of the courage to be disliked, phenomenal book.
I need to read that then as well. I've not read that, so I'll put that in the show notes as well, so the guys can definitely link that one up.
It is The Courage to be Disliked by Futakami something. It's a Japanese name.
Okay.
Fantastic book.
And that's so for that, where does that sort of, just from even that book itself, what's the sort of like take home message from that?
Self-care. Self-care is not selfish. You can only help so many people. You can't help everybody. Nobody wants to help half the time. You create the narrative of you have the tools to be able to help someone, and the ones that gravitate towards that are the ones you're going to be able to achieve. I think when you get into mind management or life coaching, you will have them. You'll go through the training. You'll have made the changes for yourself. You're like, oh my God, the whole world needs to know this. Guess what? They don't want to know it. They're not ready to make a change. And there's an old saying that you won't, it's something on the lines of the lily pad only opens up when you're ready to hear Buddha, because Buddha was born in a lily pad. The ancient story of Buddha is the lily pad's always there, but until you want to hear the Buddha speak, you'll not see the lily pad open. I'm sure you'll have, Luke, when you were going through something with I remember the football conversation.
Yes.
You will have people around you trying to help. May have triggered you and go, piss off, because you don't understand what I'm going through. You weren't ready. It's not until, and that's the unfortunate part, is that the most positive thing is until I hit my rock bottom, I wasn't ready to listen to anybody else. So if you're at that rock bottom and you're not ready yet, maybe there's another rock bottom you're going to have to go to. But if I hadn't had my nervous breakdown, my absolute self-destruction, I wouldn't have gone on this journey of learning meditation, mindfulness, and understanding emotion and understanding self. So if that negative hadn't happened, I wouldn't have had these 1001 positives. So I'm not saying, and I'm certainly not prescribing, go and have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Go and find out what depression is. But you know what? Sometimes we have to, it's like sweet and sour chicken. You ain't going to get the sweet without the sour. It's one of those laws of the universe that you have to have both. I just think people need to better understand what depression is. It's not a chemical imbalance. It doesn't mean you're going to be suicidal. we get low moods because of our emotions. And you know what? Being a positive thinker is not always going to work. Sorry, it's not.
So in that, so if someone was okay, then so if someone was like even self-diagnosing, then or saying, you know what, but could you know,
That's definitely a thing.
yeah,
Self-diagnosing. Oh my God.
I know, I see it, yeah, I see it so much and hear it so much. I'm ADHD or whatever. You know, if someone is saying, yeah, but I listen, I am depressed though. I am. You don't get it. You don't understand my life. Whatever it is. What would, or even for you being like, say, you know, a coach on this, how would you specifically know from experience if they are or aren't? Like, what work would you sort of to distinguish that?
So if somebody says, I am depressed
Yeah.
or I have depression,
Yeah.
see, the word have says that there's an ownership to that. So for anyone that's saying, oh, I have depression, you don't have depression. You're in a depressed state.
Yes.
There's no ownership to an emotional state unless we keep repeating the pattern of the language. I have, I have, I have. It becomes part of your identity. So if you start saying, I am working on my depression, guess what's going to happen? The brain's going to start going, all right, let's work and look for an option. So remember that the language of wellness, or the language of the brain, I always say this to a lot to my clients or to the businesses that I'm working with is, remember that your brain is Alexa. You ask Alexa a question, it'll not reply with an emotional thing. It'll just give you an answer. However, if you keep asking the question, why am I depressed and why am I so lonely? Your brain responds from the emotion because you're useless, because you remember what happened last time. Remember what this happened. Remember this. That's why you're this. So your brain responds from the emotional state. Ask better questions, you'll get better answers. I typed in Google, what is depression? How do you get past it? Boom, a list of books came up. NLP, NLP, NLP. Boom, learnt it. Belief systems are the most powerful things that we have. That if you can understand, most depression will come from, I don't have, I can't do, I'm not good enough. That's the anxiousness and anxiety comes from something in the future that we can't plan for or we're unsure of the outcome. Staying present is not easy, but can be done. And it starts allowing us to create different meanings. Let's have a look at, so my depression was I didn't get the job of cruise director. You know what the job of cruise director is. I went for an audition, completely fucked up the audition, and I felt shame, guilt, stupidity, ego got the best of me. Why the fuck didn't this happen? I messed this up. I messed that up. Total shame and absolute horribleness that I went through. Then I started the conversation, well, if I've messed that up, my wife doesn't love me. Again, total insecurity conversations. Then you've got, so that, sorry, my Amazon thing just went off because I said Alexa just went off. So you've got this language of depression. But the second I asked the question, what is depression, how to get out of it, guess what? You get the answers. Google gave me the answers. Google gave me the answers. The stuff that I didn't want to know about, take tablets, take this. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's not. And I've still got friends. But Cuddy, you don't understand depression. No. I'll show you the document from a medical thing in America that since I think it was about 1978, 9, study started that there's no proof to a chemical imbalance. So an antidepressant is a serotonin tablet. It increases the serotonin in the brain. Now, serotonin, you create serotonin. There's 4 chemicals that Luke, I rattle off. So if you want to stop me at any time, I genuinely don't mind.
You sound.
There's 4 chemicals, the happiness chemicals that you can create or don't create. Oxytocin is the cuddle chemical. So the second, and this is why we get stuck in a depressive track sometimes. Because if you are constantly depressed and somebody comes over to you and touches you on your shoulder and goes, "You're all right, pal," it creates oxytocin. So now the brain started going, I had depression, I got some love and attention. Let's fuse that together. So we get stuck in that depressive pattern. That genuinely does happen. That's a natural chemical. Serotonin, you can increase your serotonin by going out for a walk, getting some sunshine. You have endorphins that you get from going to a gym. So your endorphins are creating happiness. Oxytocin, there's always one I forget. Oxytocin, serotonin, oxytocin is the critical. In fact, there's so much power of these endorphins. And what's the last chemical, Luke? What's the
Dopamine.
last chemical? It's in one of my courses.
You're not talking about dopamine, are you?
Dopamine, there's the
Yeah.
one. Dopamine, which you get from going in cold water. So you get
Yeah.
dopamine from hitting 5 lines of Charlie. 5 lines of Coke, boom, you're getting a dopamine hit. Getting cold water, I do it for 2 minutes. Getting cold water, you get a 10 times hit than you do from Coca-Cola. Let's call it Coca-Cola for the podcast.
Yeah.
You get a 10 times hit for getting cold water. So every time I go for a cold water dip, I'm with people, so I get serotonin. I get endorphins because I've put myself under stress. I get oxytocin because I've touched somebody down there and been with people. So I'm now four natural chemicals that's going to help me stay mentally healthy, not have a mental health challenge, be aware of mental health so that I can be mentally healthy, because everyone has mental health. You have it, your dog has it, your wife has it, your family has it, everybody has mental health, so it shouldn't be a stigma. However, if you keep repeating and listen to the language of life, I am struggling with my mental health, and you keep repeating that pattern, you're creating a thought loop of struggle, which reimburses what you're going through. Instead of saying, I am aware my mental health isn't as good today, what can I do to get out of it? You've created a new system for your brain, which is Alexa, to go, let's do this instead.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And again, I just think people are going to easily digest what you shared. Again, I think what got me thinking is I had done a like a cold plunge thing, but with a group of people.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely spot on. It was such a sort of like buzz.
Yeah.
Being around like people, like high-fiving them if this sort of was in the dip for like 3 minutes. It was like minimum 3 minutes sort of to maximize the benefits for the body and recovery and inflammation and all that. And like you say, all the chemicals as well. So yeah, guys, if you sort of listen in, Cuddy and I are sort of saying, go and have a cold dip with some friends.
Absolutely.
And enjoy it. So I want to ask this question because you've got me thinking on the mental health topic now, because I think obviously there's a lot more awareness. I think there's more awareness around it. I mean, obviously you have like the mental health awareness months and weeks and all that kind of stuff. And I can see, businesses are, they're trying to do more. What do you think? And if there is one tool or one thing that would be really helpful for the audience today to help them improve their mental health in their workplace, as well as potentially outside the workplace, if there's something that you think from your sort of experience.
Oh, that's a good one. The what, right? So self-awareness, understanding where you are emotionally, so that you are comfortable to say, I'm overwhelmed. Give me a minute. I'm going to step away to gather, ground yourself. Start working on perspective. Perspective will change lives. Not everything's through your eyes. We get so zoned in on our perspective, we forget to see that the angle that you can change yourself to look at a problem from a different angle will give you a different outcome. So always work on, this is what I'm thinking, but let me double check, what's going on from their point of view. Now you've created perspective and angles of perspective, and that'd be a powerful. The best thing for mental health is sleep. Get a good night's sleep. You will, I can tell you now, when I've had a bad night's sleep, I am all over the place the day after, and I eat differently. My hormones are different because I've not had a good sleep, and I've been struggling with sleep with heat. We've got
same.
Even though I live in Scotland, it's been roasting. I'm like, oh my god! So I wake up and I've had a little bit of hay fever. It's just total sidetrack. I've not had hay fever since I was about 12 years old. This year, my eyes are streaming.
No way.
I don't know what they're planting around our ways, but I've got really bad hay fever this year, so I've been struggling with the sleep. And I know that I'm more ratty and emotional. And my again, you've not met me before face to face, but I'm 6'2" and 4 feet wide. I'm a giant of a man.
You're a
so
unit.
My emotions are not in. I used to do strongman training and stuff. I still eat like a strongman now, but I'm not doing the training, to be fair. My emotions are, look, picture this. Your thoughts and emotions are like boomerangs. Whatever you're putting out is coming back.
Right.
Whatever you are putting out, thought-wise, emotionally-wise, whatever you put out is coming back. They're like boomerangs. So you only do want to put out constructive, non-judgmental. Be curious about things. Instead of coming from a place of judgment, come from curiosity. It's a powerful switch from resentment and negativity. Let me find out what the person's saying. So if you're getting triggered by anyone, go and spend more time with that person that's triggering you. Not negatively. You might be saying, do you know what, Luke Beastall's a right arrogant little shit with his own podcast. You want to go and listen to Luke more because he's clearly got something you want. Understanding that judgment comes from a lack in you. Go and find out what they're doing so you can get what Luke has. You will go from judgment and resentment to curiosity and happiness. You're starting to change your emotional states.
Yeah, I think that's so true as well. Like the judgment and resentment, it's such a quick thing to do, isn't it? I guess when you sort of
I still
just,
do it.
yeah, I do it. You know, we all do it. I mean, we judge.
Absolutely.
You know, when people say don't judge a book by its cover, you know,
There's a lot of books I've not bought because of the covers.
yeah, that's what I mean. We're judging it, you know. But I think you're right though. Is if more exposure, more time, more awareness to it, yeah, you can switch that to more curiosity around that. So obviously, you shared a really good point there about the one thing that would really help people's mental health, and that was really sort of powerful because I think it's quite common today, isn't it? Especially in our society, to just instantly put our hand up and say, you know, I've got poor mental health or I'm mentally ill or anything. Obviously, there's distinguishes on that. So for you, what, just in terms of your skill set, what you do day to day with coaching people and businesses and stuff like that, what would you say has been the biggest transformation as a result or an outcome or a process from what it is that you do within a business or somebody?
Right. I love that. That's a great question. So I'll come from it because I work a lot with one-on-one on clients.
Okay.
So one-on-one with clients, I'm not going to say I'm going to say the client's transition was fucking outstanding. I don't mind me sharing this because I won't say any names or anything like that, but I worked with a gentleman who actually found me through the podcast, and he had absolutely horrible trauma as a child. How the guy was functioning, to be fair, with what had gone on in his childhood, from abuse to neglect to just horrible things, to become a dad and move on. He'd been in a psychiatric ward for quite a while, and he'd just gotten to a space where he'd seen a podcast. I did a podcast with one of his friends, and he got in contact with me and he said, Cuddy, look, I really want to work with you. I've got things I need to work out on. It's costing me my family. It's costing me my life. And the gentleman actually, because I've been in conversations, I always do like a pre-check with people, say, look, you know, how are you mentally, emotionally? Cuddy, I'm fine, not a problem. And then he did actually attempt to commit suicide the day before working with me. And I turned up for the meeting because it was online, and his wife actually got in contact and said, I'm so sorry, Cuddy, he tried to take his life last night. I was like, just wow, we'd done that. I was just shocked. I said, not a problem, I'll refund the money and all those kind of things. And I was just about to refund the money. About 4 days later, I got a message, Cuddy, don't refund me the money. I know where I messed up. Right, can we start next Monday? I'm like, right, shit, okay, right, not a problem. And we did a 1 hour. I generally work about an hour to an hour and a half with people. And within 45 minutes, this gentleman allowed me. I said, look, I ask cunty questions. I'm like the root canal of coaching. I'm a big believer in you got to feel it to heal.
Mm.
Are you comfortable with it? I said, there's no way that anything that me and you is going to do is going to hurt any more than any of your atrocities that you've gone through in your life. But I need to take you to the root so we can pull it out. And I set him up so he felt comfortable to go through these things and chat about these things. And I just asked him one question, and the blood just left his face, and he went, why has nobody ever asked me that question before? And I saw the blood leave his face, and he just smiled, and he went, I don't know what you've done, but it's resolved. And I said, it's not.
Mm.
I said, let's be realistic. We've got 5 sessions coming up, but I do try and resolve as much as we can in the first session. Then we look at the triggers from that, because the nervous system resets. With mind management, we get down to the trigger, we reset the nervous system, but there's a memory to the nervous system as well. So some triggers might pop up. Text me on the Wednesday after when conversation's gone. This is gone. Spent time with my daughter. I've done this. Like, hold your horses. I always want to manage expectations.
Yeah.
let's do another session. And I got him down to somewhere else, and we was like, Cuddy, it's gone. The pain, the anxiety. He went, I've even been to the doctors. And the doctors were like, what's happened? Stop working with a mind manager. The doctor's like, this is not the man I've just been seeing for the 6 months. He was like, right, okay. So this guy, not me, this guy wanted help.
Yes.
He'd been, if you're not ready to hear it, it'll not work. He was ready. So he'd had therapists, counselors, the whole thing in the past, nothing. He'd seen something in me, and he messaged me the other day. I went, Cuddy, I'm off to New Zealand. I'm like, you're fucking shitting me. It's like, no, I'm off to New Zealand. I've sorted my life out. I'm no longer self-harming. He said, and his daughter messaged me because his daughter went, thank you so much for what you did with my dad. I'm like, it wasn't me, it was him. You've got to pat him on the back. And that, to me, to have the skills to be able to help somebody change their life so much in 2 sessions, not the 5. So generally, I always do about 5 or 8. You don't need to. I'm sorry to anyone hearing this. You don't need to be in a therapist. You don't keep talking about your problems because you keep repeating the pattern. I'm a solution focused, solution outcome focused. What can't you do? Why can't you do it? And let's do it. And it doesn't matter the label that they have or the identity. We create the identity of this is how we do it. And it's a powerful, powerful tool to look for a solution focused outcome. So that's my biggest win. And it wasn't me, it was him. He was open and willing to do the work, feel it to heal it. And Luke, it was brutal what I'd gone through.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially the root canal treatment. But the fact that you had said there, and I think that's a really powerful sort of feedback statement where he was ready to sort of hear it. So I think, a lot of people will probably take a little bit of time away and think about that for a second. And again, if they are seeking change, or again, in this, what we sort of spoken about before we started recording this episode, like people that genuinely listen to these episodes are people that are actually, they are wanting change. So you're sharing a great example there from somebody and what they'd actually gone through.
And I think you kind of touched on it, and I think a lot of people would possibly, if you start looking into a lot of things, ADHD, it's unresolved trauma. So the chronic overthinkers and all those kind of things can often be unresolved trauma. Once you've gone through such a traumatic experience in life, some people deal with it, some people don't. Everyone's different. Meaning is what creates the impact of the trauma. And for anyone going, I don't want to relive that. You don't, whatever's happened to you in that real time, you'll not have to relive it, but we have to resolve it. Because there'll have been, how did it make you feel? It made me feel this. And then we look at that feeling that they had in that moment, that the brain overgeneralizes. They now start going, I felt this once. Brain starts going, this must be me. I'm weak. I'm scared. I'm fearful. I'm not good enough. I'm clearly not lovable because of something my dad did to me when I was 5 years old. There's a concept and a root core belief that once we get there and change the perspective on it, it resets your entire nervous system so that you're not going to have those sabotaging behaviors. You're not going to sabotage your relationships. If you've got a genuine core belief of I'm not lovable, you're never going to be happy in a relationship. And that's not to trigger anyone. It's just work with somebody that's not going to sit and talk to you about your problems for 3 years, because that's pointless.
It's a waste of time, isn't it?
What, 3 years and you're still talking about the same problem? Get it resolved. Work with someone who has the tools to resolve once you are ready. But if you're not changing, you're choosing. Or whatever you're not choosing, you're changing.
I like that. And I think, again, you're relaying that sort of these different sides to wording as well, which I think is really, really good. I'm sort of taking away from it as well, which is really good. I'd want to ask you though, Cuddy, what would you say your unique skill is?
Listening, not to my wife. She tells me, but I do.
No.
Right? And I have to make sure that's really clear. The wife doesn't watch the podcast anyway. So I have a unique skill that I teach and I train for businesses for how to listen. There's an old adage, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. And that's fine, but you're like, well, what am I actually listening to? So I have a 4-step process. There's 4 things, and I call it SLAP. If you want to slap somebody for positive mental health, use this system. Have you got anybody around you, Luke, that you think if you could slap them and help them, you would do it?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
There we go. So let's look. I will teach people how to listen to story, language, awareness, and then look at physicality. So that's SLAP. That's the SLAP method. Simple. Story takes a little bit of skill, but language, you can spot it in the first 5 minutes of talking to somebody. In fact, somebody's language will tell you what emotional state that they're in. And your staff, your coaches, you've got several coaches working with you. All they want is to be heard so they can go and resolve their own shit. If you are the kind of manager or leader that starts resolving other people's problems, you then now become the person that they're going to come back to like a little puppy. That person's resolved my problems. I'm going to go back to that. No, give them the tools to resolve their own shit, then you've got plenty of time in the rest of the day. Do whatever you want. As the CEO of your business, you want to empower your teams to give them the tools. So SLAP, teach them how to listen to story, language, and if you ask a question on 2 parts, do you ever feel like when you're talking to somebody, you're speaking Klingon, Luke?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I've had that quite a few times.
It's
Even
because
recently.
you've not deep dived what their actual problem is.
Mm.
So when somebody comes and says, so we have this wall of assumption, we're more or less talking in a wall of assumption because you can have 2 people talking to each other, one speaking Klingon, one speaking Krypton. Again, another Superman reference. Just watch the Superman movies. You've now got a manager and a HR, manager, leader, whatever the concept is, 2 different languages because people like to talk and wait for somebody to stop speaking so that they can be heard. So what I would train you is shut up, listen to, and ask questions on when you say you are stressed, what are you stressed about? Because you can come from a place of, oh, I know this would stress me out. Do this. And they'll sit there and go, not what I'm stressed about. It's a 5-minute technique of when you say you're stressed or you can't do this, if you could do it, what would you do? Oh, well, if I could do it, I'd do this, this, and this. Boom. Go and do that. You've now cottoned onto the can't, which is the language of fear, changed it into an affirmative. If you could, what would you do? They've now started creating a new thought pattern, and you've just been the catalyst for that growth. So the 4-step process of learning how to listen to someone's story, their language. Now, the awareness is people will speak in past tense or forward tense. So if somebody keeps repeating a pattern of I used to be, or I have, or I did this, they're creating a thought loop. And you can break that down by, somebody will come to you, look, I used to be teacher. Now I want to be a muscle coach. No, you can still teach. We'll bring teaching over to the thing. So you're still a teacher. So there's not a loss of identity. You bring that skill back over into, I want to be a PT. Perfect. Not a problem. Let's teach muscle farm.
Muscle coach. Yeah,
muscle coach.
Muscle farmer. That's a supplement, that is actually company.
It is. I used to take it. It wasn't that good, to be fair.
I don't even know if it's still about, to be honest. But yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger advertised that one. So anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger logo on, I'm a sucker for Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a childhood thing. So I'm sure people will follow The Rock now, whereas The Rock of my generation was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
To the point, I'll share totally random fact. When I wanted to do something as a child, I used to get in a hot bath. And Mum would always say to me, and this is the great things about parents, is Mum would say, who do you need to be to get into the water? And I'm saying, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger could get in the water. Arnold Schwarzenegger could get into the water, hot water, not a problem. So I used to lower myself into what I thought was a hot bath, going, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I got in the bath, because Arnie could do it.
Yeah, that's a good frame, you know. That is a really powerful thing. I think just that what you just said there about when people say, I can't do it. Well, what would you do if you could do it? You know, I think is a really good. So I think just even the guys listening in on this and just from your obviously techniques, your skill set, just to sort of flip it a little bit on a different perspective, like you're saying, see where the answers are. Because again, they know the answers.
They've brought their own answers to you.
Yeah.
Most managers get into the thing of, I've got to resolve their problem, so I'm going to start with, no, you're creating a pattern of I need to be here.
Yeah, but it falls back into what you said earlier, though, about when you was that chronic overthinker, whereas, you looked at those, say, 100 people around you that you wanted to fix them so that then it made it a better environment, whereas the odds are, like, for example, again, if you just look at yourself and work on yourself and stuff, it makes it a lot easier. I think, obviously, we always sort of choose the most, like, difficult way, the way that seems really... I'd just love to know from your mindset, what do you think it is as us as humans that we always seem to go to look after others or put others before ourselves?
Because it's the belief of why we're less than others. Why is it you talk to your dog with nothing but love and adoration, or you talk to your kids with nothing but love and adoration, but you talk to yourself like a piece of shit? What is it that it's allowed to talk to your kids? You're amazing. You're absolutely doing fantastic. What's the name of your kids, Luke? You got a kid?
Yeah, we've got a daughter, Remy.
Remy, you've done so well today. Remy, I'm so proud of what you've done today. Remy, you turned up, you fell over, you got yourself back up. Remy, well done for getting on that bike again. I know you were scared to get on the bike, but well done for getting on the bike. How often, when you were at the football club, did you say, well done for turning up to the football club today, Luke? Well done for, not passing the test with the football thing, but well done for leaving and thinking you did, at least you tried, mate. Well done.
Yeah.
How often did you talk to yourself about that?
It's not very rarely.
So what is it about self that we believe we can allow ourselves to talk to ourselves like utter shite, but yet it's okay to talk to your kids and your animals as this pure, blessed being?
Mm.
It's the identity of self, that being nice to oneself. I think one of the human conditions, and this is not a me thing, I've definitely took this from somewhere else. One of the human conditions that we have is we like to suffer. Suffering seems to give us some solace, to be fair.
Gives us something to talk about as well, I think, though. I mean, it's that negativity sells, isn't it? It's like, I feel that, yeah, you're right. I think people do like the suffering, so they can feel maybe a bit of a pity party with others or something. I don't know. It's so common.
Sometimes that pity party is on your table for one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of relatability. So, Cuddy, we are sort of coming towards the end of this episode, my friends. Really powerful stuff. This is a question I love to ask every single guest. So obviously I've asked a couple of questions today, and here's another one for you. I know you love questions. So I'd love to know from your perspective. Notice I use that word. What does mastering your life mean to you?
Understand your emotions. Fact. Your emotions are the biggest driver of everything that you're going through right now. If you have no understanding of emotions, how they're affecting you, then you will be a victim of it. Understand your emotions, understand why you're in that emotional place, and make a change to move.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, straight to the point, no messing it. I think it sort of really pieces together this episode really well, especially what we've spoken about. So if someone who has listened or watched back on this episode would love to connect with you, Cuddy, and find out more about what it is that you do, where's the best place?
You can find me at www.prioritymindmanagement.com. You can book a call through there. You can email me at cuddy@prioritymindmanagement.com. Simple.
Brilliant.
Check out the podcast, the Mind Management Mentors podcast on YouTube.
Fantastic. Well, I will ensure that all those links as well are in the show notes, so people can just click away and find you. But look, I just want to say personally, hello, podcast host to podcast host. I can tell you're a great podcast host just from the way we've spoken today and stuff. Thank you, Cuddy, mate. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. It's been a great, it seems so quick as well, episode. Really good.
You know what? Don't get me started, because I was going to talk about a flow state there. No. When you get into flow and the knowledge is there and you get to share it, it's seamless. It's one of those things that I think if you can listen to a podcast and go, that's one thing I can change today, boom, do it. What I will leave everybody on is, you're not broken. You don't need fixing. You are lovable. Make your mind a priority.
I like that. Nice little conclusion as well. And I think you're absolutely spot on there. You definitely are not broken. But again, I think just with what you've shared as well from your own experiences and you having that breakdown and then obviously having the breakthrough that like I say, it is possible to change. People just need to hear it. And hopefully hearing this episode will help them acknowledge that. So final thing from me, Cuddy, thanks again. And yeah, let's obviously stay in touch.